Hello, and welcome back to me explaining my 4-bit adder register and display thingy mabobber. It's absolutely massive, and I'll try to gloss over the individual bits, but it can be condensed down to four major segments. The adder, which adds these two inputs here, the memory bit, which stores and then loads it, which is this tells the thing to store it. These four tell it to load it into the display. The multiplexer that goes from the 4 bits to the actual number to display, and then the display matrix, I guess it's what I should call it, which takes the inputs and outputs the corresponding parts to turn on and off for the display. So to start it off, let's go to where the inputs, the two numbers that are going to the adder. This bus is 8 wide, and it goes all the way through this mess of other stuff I have, and goes to the adder. So this is the adder. It adds two numbers, binary numbers together. If you want to figure out how the actual gates and stuff work, I suggest you look it up. It's kind of too complex to go over right now, but just know it takes in two numbers, it adds them together, and it outputs the value, and if it has an overflow, it will output it to the next adder, and then it links it up and it's rippling over all the way to the last four. And it will give these into another bus, which is 4 wide, and it goes along here and has this really weird wonky thing that you'll see plenty of times in the coming few minutes, which these four segments then are outputted to memory cells. Now we're in the memory cells. Each of these four things is a memory cell. 4 of them together make up a memory register, and the input is crossed over here, and these are the control lines, one for each register, and they control which one gets the value, which register is then written to. None of them are on, but if one was, I want to go all the way back over and turn it on, you'd see one of these lines light up and then go to each one of these little cells, and it would tell it to save the number. What is active, though, is this loading thing, which then tells the memory to load it or read it and output it to the output value. So these are the 4 output. This is the output bus, and it has another set of these crazy crossover things. That is then taken over here to where the multiplexer is. The multiplexer takes in a 4-bit number and outputs one of 16 different inputs. It basically turns a binary number into every line represents one number kind of thing, so that way you can take in the different inputs and know exactly which output to do. So it has 16 different little blocks, one corresponding for each of the different possible inputs, and it uses plenty of those crossover things because it has to split the wire, and then it goes up vertically over here. It's just massive. It would be over 150, 170 meters tall if I did it vertically, but I split it up to save space. So each one of these corresponds to outputs. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is output 7, and it will take in the inputs, binary input corresponding to the number 7. So it does that, and it takes along this, and then we get to the final, the second to last bit, and this is the display matrix. Or is it the last bit? I don't really know. Basically, you have one input, and depending on what you want to output, it will output the right thing, and it will then take those outputs and then turn on or off the display corresponding to it. So right now I have the display doing a 7 based on the inputs here, and each one of these lines going zigzaggedly is one of the possible inputs, and each one of these crosses is one of the segments it controls. And you can tell it's very much a matrix. It has a buttload of crossing and other things. And so it comes back up here, and it displays the number. So that's the major rundown. It took over 8,000 or 9,000 pieces of wire to make this all work. A lot of that was spent just making the buses between the control room and around everything, but even with that, it still used several thousand wire just to make the individual components hook up to each other without the buses, the input. It was just nicer to have everything right next to each other, even though if it took forever to lay down all this wire. which I could have planned better to not have to do this wraparound thing here. As you can tell, it just wraps around and is a lot of wire. A lot of wire, and it's just massive. This project took at least 16 hours or so from planning all the individual bits and figuring out, getting them working, to laying out the wire, clearing out the area. It just took a lot of time, but it was well worth it. I mean, what other 2D game can you say you made a 4-bit adder with memory, selectable memory, and a 2-digit display, and actually works? I'm sure there's still bugs in it. I mean, nothing's bug-free, but hey, it's life. Okay, well, thanks for watching. I will probably make at least slides and put them on the Dig or Die forum of the individual components, the adder, the memory, the multiplexer, the display matrix, and have more detailed explanations on those. This is just a glossary overview of the entire system. You can't make a single image of the entire thing. It's just too big. It would be 20,000 by 20,000 pixels, and that's a huge image. So I did a video instead. Okay, hope you enjoyed. Thanks.